Hi, my name is Ellen, and my son's name is Noah. He is 15 now, which is amazing. The age at which I noticed that he was quote unquote different was about 2. Friends that we played with in the sandbox were turning 2 and having birthday parties, and I would realize that there was a gaggle of 2-year-olds like running, talking, with each other, and my child was not. He just wasn't talking. He was having a fine time. I came home with him in the stroller. He's had a fine time. He's happy as a clam, and I'm crying my eyes out on the way through the neighborhood on the way back to my house because I'm not having the experience that I thought I was supposed to be having. I'm not having the same experiences as these other moms. And increasingly, I'm having more people who are thinking that something is wrong around me. And that's when it starts to get really hard. You have people trying to tell you that there's something wrong when there's nothing wrong. There's absolutely nothing wrong with your child. The pediatrician was like, he's developing beautifully, he's just a late talker. But that's when the societal pressure starts to come in for you to do something. It was simply about repositioning expectations for this moment and not being like, lower your expectations, like this child is going to be brilliant because he is brilliant. It was change your expectations. Change your expectations about what it is that you think is normal behavior or appropriate behavior. If I asked him to do 2 or 3 things in a row, he would do the 2 or 3 things in a row that I just asked him to do. He might not talk about it. He might not be like one of his best friends when he was 2, who would be like, look, mama, I can kick this ball. Look how far I kicked it, mama. And I was like, oh, wow, that is not ever going to be like what I'm going to hear. So you get to this place, in the early days where you're like, oh my God, will this ever change? Will I ever have a conversation? Mary, I remember once saying, when I was like, oh my God, is he ever going to have friends? Is he ever going to be social? Is he ever going to be able to get along? And she was like, he is social. He is social with you guys. He's social with you and your husband. I mean, he was very connected with us. He loved to hug and he loved to snuggle and he loved to sit on my lap. Very social in a physical way. I think when we went to see Mary and she recognized and understood him and described this child back to me in the exact same way that I was experiencing my child, that was a huge moment of relief. I mean, and that brings me to tears just thinking about it. I can be in her office in my mind now immediately. My husband was there, the 3 of us were there, my son was playing with the bubble machine or whatever, and that was when the first part where I was like, okay, I'm not living on a planet by myself. There are people that get this. If I could, my heart hurts for the people who are going through it right now and their kids are only 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and 6, and 7. Those years are really difficult if you don't have the kind of support system that understands your child. And I highly recommend to anyone that if you're not feeling like your child is supported in the environment that he's in, just find a new environment. Don't struggle. Don't try. Don't push. There will be people that do not get it. And the more you spend your time trying to convince them, the more painful it will be for you. You really have to identify the people that understand your child just as they are. We never felt like Noah John should have been any other way than the way he was. And that was very late talking. He did not speak until almost 3 years old. He's just finished 9th grade and he's stellar. His teachers glow over him. If somebody were to sit and have a conversation with my son right now, they would not have any idea that he was a late talker. The words I hear from his teachers are, well, he's just self-taught. He's fascinating. He's so bright. He's, he's always participating in class. I mean, that's the thing that makes me laugh my patootie off, right? This is the kid that talks the most in the classroom now. This is the kid who, when other kids don't know how to do something, he will help them and teach them how to do it. Would you think he was geeky? Hell yes. Would you think he was quirky? Definitely. But would you think that there was anything wrong? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. There are moments of peace, and then there are moments where you're back in it again. And then there are moments of peace, and then there are moments where you're back in it again. In the early years, it's really important to allow your late talker to speak about what they're interested in speaking about. And then you repeat back to them what they're saying and recast and add more complexity to the language that they're using. I know what it's like to be feeling like your kid is never going to have a conversation. I know what that feels like. It's so frustrating, but it's not frustrating for your child. It is frustrating for you as the adult because you have a different expectation. And if you can just put that expectation to the side and have the conversations that your child is actually ready and wanting to have, you will be more successful, happier, and more at peace. And I know what it's like. I know, God, I've been up at 3 a.m. I know. But I challenge people to look at, if they're worrying about their late talker, are they worrying about their late talker, or are they worrying about the other people in the social situation around the late talker? Are they worried about their own feelings about the social situation around their late talker? There's nothing wrong with your child. There's nothing wrong with your child. There's nothing wrong with your child. Oh my gosh, if I could be with myself back in those days where I was on the computer searching and reading, and I would literally just say, everything is going to be fine. Everything is already okay. There is nothing wrong. It's just different. It's just different, and it's going to be different for a while, and you can do this. You are the exact right person to be with your child. I would hug myself every day. I would literally go to myself and hug me and say, you are going to be the best thing for your child. Now and going forward, you are the one who knows him best. You are going to have someone that you can trust. And everything those parents with the older kids, everything I'm saying is true and will be true for you.